All right, here we go. Welcome to Wednesday Wisdom, where we pause, we reflect, and we remember who we are becoming. I'm Nance, and I'm glad you're here with us. And as always, I'm joined by the beautiful, intuitive, and wise Kitty Foss. Kitty, I'm
Hi,
so happy to have you here.
I am too. What a week. This is quite the week that is unfolding. Unbelievable.
Right? It's always a pleasure to be here. I love this conversation because the energy always resets us exactly where we are. And today we have a big one. Before we
Yes.
dive in, let's take a moment for a joy check in. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are you today? Not where you think you should be, but where you actually are. Oh, I'm vacillating between a 6 and an 8. How about you, Kitty?
I'm about to say 7.
Okay. Yeah, right. Like my coach always says I can't say 7. I'm like, fuck off. Like I'm between that 6 and 8. If I was staying home all day, I'd be an 8. Because I'm going into the office, I'm a 6.
Hmm.
So and that's honest. You can't always throw fucking sunshine on everything and sparkles and make it all better. And whatever number comes up, just notice it. Like no judgment, no fixing, just awareness, because awareness is where awakening begins. So today's Wednesday wisdom is about awakening.
It is
Uranus.
about awakening. And by the way, happy Earth Day.
We have
Today's Earth.
which?
Today's Earth Day.
Oh, right. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is an awakening for this planet. That's for sure. What is happening and what is moving forward. And as we spend these last moments of Uranus in Taurus, which is all about the lessons of the body, the lessons of the DNA, lessons of the awakening, the chaotic awakening that we're going through. And boy, has that been playing out in
Yep.
these last few months. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like life is asking you to think differently. Like you're not
Mhm.
imagining it.
Yeah,
You are truly feeling the shift.
you are. And it's
Yeah.
from the body's perspective. We are bodies in spirit, not spirit in bodies, you know.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it really is. And then this next step. So astrologically, folks, what's happening is started last year where we have these outer themes in larger planets that are big themes in life, and they move much more slowly. They're not like our daily energy. And last year we had all three move into a different sign, unheard of. The statistical happening of that, and it was within a very short period of time. And then they, because of retrograde, some dipped back into their former cycles. Well, Uranus
Hmm.
went into Gemini, very short period of time, went back into Taurus, and now for the next 8 years, it will be so those three outer planets that shifted within a 6 month will now be traveling together across. Now, some of them move much more slowly, like we're talking hundreds of years for a cycle. But because of the one of those planets, Neptune, in Aries, it's all about new responsibility for spirit. And with Uranus and Gemini, this is big, folks. When you look up the years that Uranus is in Gemini, the last time was with the bomb, 1941 through 1949, 50. So
Wow.
huge advances in technology, huge advances in communication, huge advantages in technological advancements. Before that, it was just before the Civil War and through the Civil War, when the telegraph was discovered, when the railroad hooked up across the country. So the ability to communicate, travel, move across is a really big piece of this. And Uranus is a disruptor. So we
Yeah.
are disrupting many of those ideas in Gemini. It's about our communication, it's about our technology, and it's all about new educations, new understanding for the collective, about a period of flux where systems and social structures move through periods of chaos on that whole continuum, and step forward. And we're coming on, literally a changing in the nature of the human body's borders and boundaries shift. So,
Wow. So if
and
you could put all that into one word, what would it be?
patience.
Patience.
um, for this too will change again. It's Gemini is mutable, so it's always about finishing things up. It comes in and finishes stuff up, and Gemini is about finishing up our thought process. It's the personal thinking process and how we communicate. And what's interesting is Gemini is in the um, Mercury rules it. Mercury is our communication, our experience. It's in the more day to day, kind of denser expression of technologies. And Uranus is the expanded version of technologies, the collective. And in Gemini, it's about major advancements for the collective and for the world. So, the
So
thing, oh, you know what
Uranus,
word I would say? Restlessness.
restlessness. Well, Uranus is the great awakener, right?
Yes, it's the Great
Yeah.
Awakening.
So it's kind of like jiggling jello, and
Yep.
then you got to stay patient in that feeling of being jiggled.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
that's
dancing with the
profound.
chaos. It's learning to dance with it,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
and collaborate and organize. If things are going to change the way we do things, which is always happening, but now it's at a pace that's the rest. And we're feeling restless, like, come on, get there, get there. But it is the process, or as they say in Canada, the process, that that is equally as important as the arrival in that.
Well, because when things don't happen as we want them to, the mind starts to grasp and grab onto it, and we hit our worry wheel. We start to do all of those natural things that we worry about, whether it's finances, on and on and on. I mean, the list is endless. And in that, it is acceptance and trust and then adaptation. So, how can I act on it
Hmm. Yes. How
while
can I?
being patient, right? Because otherwise, it robs me of my life.
Well, and what's interesting is during this period of time, watch very tumultuous relationships, alliances will shift because, as I say sometimes, I don't have the bandwidth for some of that stuff anymore. I just don't have the ability. It's not about, and I'm not saying they need to change. It's all about, I just don't have the ability to do it anymore, nor am I
No.
going to put the effort forth to want to do it. And, you know, desires are going to push in this restlessness. Desires for freedom are going to push against established kind of chaoses and systems and conditions and looking for new alignments that awaken with whatever the chaos and go with that in our understanding. So it's big time, big
Well,
energy.
and this can feel exciting
It is very
and,
exciting.
and also uncomfortable because awakenings often begin where comfort ends.
hmm Outside of your comfort zone. I have that sign right up there. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. This is the
Mm.
end of a comfort zone. This is a restlessness, a desire for evolution that pushes us forward.
So, how can people work with this energy this week?
Um, well, first thing that comes to mind is acknowledge it. Acknowledge that we are finishing letting go of things we thought brought us stability and that we valued. And that's all right. There is there's no return to
There's
anything normal.
no
No return.
return.
No.
No return. Yeah.
Um, and so one of the things that kind of misses in our society is the ceremonies. So do
Mm.
something that acknowledges it, that takes time to acknowledge it, to let it go. Water ceremonies, essential oil, something that says, there were things I bought into that I thought stabilized me. That's the Taurus. That
Yes.
my lesson has been no. And then welcome the energy that's coming in. Know that things are coming apart and new associations. And this is a great time for my highest and best needs. And again, to say thank you to what I'm letting go of for what it brought me, and invite in with intention. I guess that would be in the awakening, is with intention. I don't know where I'm going, but I invite it in. I invite to show me the possibilities in a peaceful, safe manner.
Yeah, right. And you know what? It's about
Joyful. Yeah.
keeping it simple too. Also paying attention to repeating patterns, the
Yes.
conversations, the discomfort, the
Mhm.
truth trying to rise. Where am I being called to speak honestly?
Right. And because I recognize old patterns, and when they rear their heads with intention, I'm making a new choice here. I am looking at what society is, saying for me. This is mutable. This is about bringing things and tying them up. It's, an overhaul of communication. So if you have a new opportunity this week, say it differently. Um,
Mhm.
it's an association that will take what is already technological in our understanding and amass a kind of global compass term. So be aware of that. And as you know, I don't use the word trigger. Um, there will be an activation of worldwide conversations about that moral compass, about
Mhm.
ethics, about machine generated content. Um, our relationship with social media will change again, the restlessness of it. Um, to again, what is the guide? And this is Uranus, the ruler of Aquarius, the we energy of thinking, in the sign of the me energy of thinking. So think about that. So Gemini is all about my personal experience, my personal way of expressing, and the planet that the sign is in is all about the collective way and how does that fit in. So it's a great time for that. That's why it will activate worldwide conversations about that.
Wow.
Yeah,
And it's a great opportunity for journaling and reflection. Where am I still shrinking?
right. Where is my place in space in all of this?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Which is why you'll go away from those tumultuous kind of relationships or people that are locked and loaded. This is the way I must go,
Yep.
because again, I don't have the bandwidth for that. I'm, my favorite expression in my own life is barely my business. I don't have time for this other
Cheers
thing.
for that.
Yeah. So, and it's not about you're a bad person. It's not. It's just about I don't owning that. I no, this doesn't feel comfortable for me.
No, and it's about finding that space where you do fit, where you can slide in Tom Cruise risky business style and be
Hmm.
like, ah.
Yep.
And if there's only crickets, then are you in the right space?
Right.
Like, okay, backing up, coming out of that, right? Because this is a beautiful opportunity to feel into where you do fit in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you do fit in, and where you want to take the responsibility of your evolution. I know for me, people that are very still looking for the answers completely outside themselves and somebody else's rule. It's not that I, it's they have to do them, but that's not me. So,
No, you can't pretend peace exists where your soul feels imprisoned.
mhm. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna go write
Yeah,
that down.
beautiful. Yeah, you
Mm.
can't pretend peace exists where your soul feels imprisoned. And I've been in that space so many times in my life. Where, it's like you just want to rage. And it's like, where am I feeling imprisoned again in my life?
Yeah.
It's such an interesting feeling.
I'm
And when I
writing this down, by the way.
Oh, you can't pretend peace exists where the soul feels imprisoned. And it's so interesting, whether that's in the workplace, in your relationship at home, in your relationship with your extended family, that Thanksgiving feeling. What do we got coming up next? Mother's Day. It's an awakening and it asks something of you, and that's courage, honesty, and movements. Because once you see clearly, you have to choose.
Mm-hmm. Very much.
You have to. Have you been seeing this with people too?
Yes, very much. I especially see it with children, and that there's a space now that we don't educate that out of them. You know, I work in a place. It's a lovely school, um, and there is a fine line between that. That I love that idea of educate, where we educate children about the choices they make, and that there are times, and having a conversation about the bathroom, that's not a play area. It's okay for it not to be a play area, and that there are places and spaces in our lives where we make those choices, just what you were saying. And they're always choices. That's what this big um, traveling of Saturn with Neptune is, to make new structures for the choices and the responsibility with spirit. And Uranus is allowing a disruption for us to really look at our own moral compasses in the collective by owning our individual piece of it. And meanwhile, Pluto is traveling, these big themes, is traveling through the vision of that. What could that look like? How could we change to be there as a collective? What a lovely time this next
Yes,
8 years.
it really is, and when I look at my life personally, and I feel like a hockey player, and it's like out for lower body injury, undefined. We don't quite know what it is yet. And I have tools and techniques, and I'm going to see an expert today who is going to help me, needles and mugwort and ginger and sound therapy and all of those things that I know will help identify what areas in my body are not quite flowing properly.
Right, are asking for attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're asking for attention for, and what does that look like physically, spiritually, oracally? Sometimes it could be the people I'm around,
Oh my God, right? Like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. Like there's no doubt about that. And it's in looking for all of those options and ideas. Like you and I spoke before the show, and you mentioned aloe vera. I like that. I
Mhm.
like that when we're talking about symptoms and that, like that constant dry mouth. Like I can't drink enough water. Lately, it's not always like this, and I drink a lot of water. So it's in finding the shift in where I am now,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
funny. I began a new ritual. It's a very old ritual, but I am seeing the difference. My sleep was starting to be a little strange. I just put the clear bottle of or glass of water, and I say at night, please absorb all of those things my body needs to process and move away. And then get up in the morning and I feed it to a plant. I pour it. It's a very old, we talk about blessing our water, but we can also ask it to take away. In this time of the fire, all the fire, water is very important.
Yes, I've been doing the showering and bathing a lot more. And you do
Mhm.
not need the full plan. You do
Yep.
not need permission. You do not need clarity. You need honesty.
Yep. Yep.
And then you take the next step, not 10, just one, because that's where
What's
freedom is.
hmm in
Yeah.
in Pluto, in this travel through what is visionary, is traveling across the house of all of the little patterns and pieces, the minor shifts that lead to a different, bigger picture. So during this time, it's traveling to the house of Virgo. So um, that's important, because it's about our smaller patterns and building the big picture. We are very surprised sometimes when we build a bigger picture and it wasn't what we intended, because we never looked at how all the smaller pieces went together. This is a time looking
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
having those conversations and experiencing things differently. The guy cuts you off. Are you getting angry and swearing and, all of those things? Guess what? They're fine. You've invited that energy in.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I guess you needed to get somewhere. I'm glad I didn't get hurt. You know,
Yes.
uh,
Yes. Yeah.
I used to say, bless you, change me, because
Mhm.
it's almost like a shield out of that. That's not,
Well, and it's in realizing when you do enter that space. I know when I left the pharmacy yesterday, I had to wait 45 minutes for a consultation. Then by the time I was done and coming home, and that guy in the white truck, yeah, he was that guy, and I was not. I didn't pause. I just and it was in realizing I was tired. I was in pain. I was hungry. It was everything, and he was just that opportunity, that catalyst.
halt. Am I hungry, angry, lonely, or tired? And
Yeah,
often
all of
when we don't feel well, we're angry. Like
yeah,
what is, yeah.
yeah, so angry, so frustrated, right? Because it's the unknown, right? Like, did you eat this? Did you do that? Did you do this? Did you? I don't know.
Well, and it's the word halt. Hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. Stop. Just stop and own you. It's not about what was out here. It's about,
Mhm.
once again,
Health is such a good one.
yeah.
Yeah, it is such a good one. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you. So, anyway, this is happening depending where you are, 25th and 26th. And we will stay with those planets in that story then for 8 years. So,
It's a great place of clarity.
it
It's a
is.
great place of clarity. So if this resonated with you, make sure you subscribe to Recover Your Joy and share this with someone who might need this message today. And as always, keep becoming, keep rising, and keep choosing joy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Namaste.
Namaste, my friend.